Alright, this is Chat UTD and my preview of the Manchester derby against Shitty City on Sunday. Before I get into the preview, just a bit about the goalkeeper and the goalkeeping situation. Onana has officially left United. He's gone to Trabzonspor on loan. At his age, that is not a pathway to then come back to Old Trafford and be part of the team again. It's a segue to him leaving the club, which is good news because he's one of the worst goalkeepers in recent years for United. And a big letdown because for me personally, I was really looking forward to him being at Old Trafford. I thought we'd signed a really good goalkeeper, and he's been so bad that it's given rise to conspiracy theories about match fixing and sabotage. So bad have his performances been, so he won't ever play for United again. I'm quite sure of that, and nor should he. Terrible signing, awful goalkeeper, cost us a lot of points, cost us progress in Europe, cost us on the big occasion many times. So I'm glad he's gone. Lemens, the young goalkeeper from Belgium, has been signed, and Ben Jacobs, a reputable journalist, was on the United stand yesterday saying that the longer term plan is that, well, I would say even the mid-term plan is that he's going to be the number one goalkeeper. But Amorim has confirmed today that Bayern starts the derby, so let's lead into the preview with that. I'm disappointed. My logic and reasoning, my thinking brain understands why it perhaps isn't the right game to throw a 23-year-old who's only got experience of playing in the Belgian league into his Manchester United debut against City at their place. Won't have had a lot of time with his new teammates because of the international break. I get it, but I'm just a bit disappointed. It's the same old faces of our new signings. Seshko doesn't start. Cunha's injured. Diego Leon's a young lad who's not even near the squad. Lemens won't start at the weekend either. So we've got Bryan Mbeumo. The rest of the team, the rest of the squad, is the same as the squad we had last season that finished 15th. So it's quite uninspiring, really, going into the game with that. And I would prefer, personally, that he just starts Lemens. And we've all got his back. Well, the majority of the fan base will have his back. And let's let him go. Let's see what he can do. Because the issue becomes, well, when do you start him then? Because the next league game is Chelsea. If he's not starting against City, maybe he won't start against Chelsea. Then it's Brentford away. I mean, you could make a case to say any game would be quite difficult for a new goalkeeper coming in. You know, that'd be a hostile atmosphere and a tight ground with a team that's quite savvy. Then after that, it's Sunderland at home, which you could say is ideal. Well, it's the 4th of October. We can't say, oh, we'll see him in Europe or we'll see him in the Carabao Cup in the next couple of weeks because we're not in any of those tournaments. He's a new signing. I want to see him play. So my predicted 11 will be, obviously it's Bayern in goal because he's said, so unless he's blagging, then it'll be him. Then I think it'll be Luke Shaw, De Ligt and Yoro as the back three. Left wing back Dorgu, right wing back Mazraoui. Diogo Dalot, Mount and Cunha are injured. Centre midfield, I think I'll go Bruno and Casemiro. Even though there's gaps in the 10 role where Bruno could play, I don't think he'll move Bruno out of centre midfield because I think he'll want his legs in there. As erratic as he is and as ill-disciplined as he can be positionally, I think he'll want his legs in there. And I don't think he fancies either Mainoo or Ugarte, but he certainly wouldn't fancy them next to Casemiro. So I think Bruno will stay where he's been. And then the interesting thing is up top. I have a feeling that he will have a front three, a fluid front three of Amad and Mbeumo and Zirkzee. Because it seems to me that that's what he prefers. He prefers to have a fluid front three that can all interchange in positions. Because that's what he started with. I don't know, but he's not started Zirkzee in a Premier League game. It's just been an international break. He won't have had a lot of time with his teammates in the last few days. It's all the same stuff. So you do start wondering. I'm not too sure why we bought him. I'm basing this on the fact that I don't think he'll start on Sunday. He might well start on Sunday, in which case my point is completely null and void. But if he doesn't starting games soon, you do have to start asking that question: why have we spent such a large chunk of a very specific budget on a player that you can start to speculate maybe the manager didn't want? That's another thing that's come out in the last few days, that he would have preferred Watkins, and the club vetoed it and said the majority wanted to go with Šeško, but ultimately the manager picks the team, doesn't he? So there is a little bit of a theme with Amorim in that respect, in that, you know, you've got Šeško, young talented player, who's come in maybe because the club wanted him more than the manager, doesn't really play. You've got Lemens, young talented goalkeeper. When I'm speculating, but I reckon the manager probably would have preferred an Emi Martinez or a Donnarumma, who ironically starts for City at the weekend. And again, maybe he starts quite soon, but he's not starting at the weekend. You get young players in. We're not talking about kids. We're talking about 22, 23-year-olds. As fans, we want to see them play. He doesn't have to appease the fans, the manager, of course he doesn't. But it gives everybody a lift. It gives you a bit of a catalyst. It gives you something to talk about, to be excited about, in a season that quite potentially, if we don't do well in the league, could be as dull as dishwater without any interest in Europe and no interest in the League Cup. We only got the FA Cup in the league. The FA Cup doesn't start till January. We'll see, won't we? I suppose it could be proved completely wrong, but I just have this feeling that he will surprise people with his team, and I don't think he'll play Šeško from the start. How might we do? I don't know. I've got a bad feeling about Sunday. I think it could be 2 or 3-1 City. City aren't that good. They've lost 2 out of the first 3 games. They're certainly not the team they were three years ago, where you used to worry coming into these games that we could get a real pasting. We're underdogs. We're not as big as underdogs as we used to be, but it's just, I don't know, it's a hunch. I just don't have good vibes about this weekend. I think we've got to go at them. I think we've got to go and be brave, be front foot, be dynamic, and go and try and hurt them. Don't just sit back and wait and see what happens. Go and take the bull by the horns, because they're vulnerable, City. We're more than capable of getting at them, but we have to be brave. We have to be front foot, and we have to go for it. When we did that in the first game against Arsenal, we caused them a lot of problems. We haven't got Cunha, who played a big part in that, but we caused them a lot of problems. If only for 5 minutes, we caused Fulham all kinds of problems when we went for it and we applied ourselves. And against Burnley, I thought the team were very good for the vast majority of that 90 minutes in terms of causing Burnley problems. And Burnley have made their reputation on being a very good team defensively. So I absolutely think we can get to them. As I say, it's just a hunch that City will just have a bit too much for us. Weird, because I don't think they're as good as they were. And obviously, last year we went to the Etihad and won. And this shows, for me, how rubbish last season was. My memory for United stuff is ridiculously good, without wanting to toot my own horn. I don't remember the result at Old Trafford. I think we drew with them at Old Trafford, but I can't tell you if it was 0-0 or 1-1. I think it was one of those two. It was 0-0 or 1-1. I can't remember. That's really unusual. But it just shows how uneventful it was. So I'm pretty sure Amorim's unbeaten against them. So I can't give you any logical reason as to why I think they'll beat us. I just have a hunch that it's not going to be a good day for us. And that then creates pressure, doesn't it? Because the next game's Chelsea. And again, Chelsea aren't any great shakes. We apply ourselves. I think we could get a result against Chelsea. But you've got Liverpool not too far in the distance. Brentford away isn't easy at all. Sunderland at home, people will look at and go, there's a gimme. I don't think there's any such thing as gimmies this season. But as I mentioned in my last video, I'm talking about ideology. I'm talking about what I want rather than what I think will happen. Amorim has to create a subculture. Yeah, and I don't know if he is doing that or if he's capable of doing that. And he has to get more out of the players that he's got, and he has to pick players and be brave with the players he picks, and not just go down the same old line that he's been going down for the last few months that hasn't worked in the back end of last season. Favour fortune's the brave. Fortune favours the brave. What an idiot. Fortune favours the brave, that's it, isn't it? Yeah, Jesus. But I don't know how brave he is, and I don't know if he can forge that subculture within the dressing room where every game now has to be, it's a massive game. Every game's a massive game for United. No excuses really for not being at least energetic, at least running more than our opponents, and at least making each game a right dogfight for the team that we're playing against, and a proper competitive game with loads of jeopardy in it. Because truthfully, there's nothing else to play for. Can we do that? I'm not sure. Let's see. Hopefully my prediction is completely wrong and we're celebrating a win come Sunday evening. Glazers out.